someday, yeah, oh, someday, the one you gave away will be the only one you're wishing for. Someday, yeah, hey, hey, boy, you're gonna pay, 'cause baby, I'm the one who's keeping score. Maybe now that you can't conceive that I'll ever come a time when you're cold and lonely. Baby, how could you ever believe that another could replace me, the one and only? And when you're down in your time of need and you're thinking how you might be coming back to own me, just think again, 'cause I won't need your love anymore. Sorry, I almost blacked out there because I didn't take no breath. And you heard how I just freaked that bridge? Okay. Maybe now that you can't conceive that I'll never come a time when you're... Can we just have a Mariah moment? Can we just, Lamley? It is very nice to convene with you at this time. I didn't know that I was a lamb until Mariah told me that I was a lamb. And so, since the queen mother of pageantry, fuckery, and wiggatry told me that, I have to tell you, being a part of the Lamley has been one of the greatest things that has ever happened to moi, okay? Because Mariah Carey is a legend and a treasure, and we mustn't let anything happen to her. We have to wrap her up in bubble wrap, okay? Because Mariah Carey is just think again, 'cause I won't need your love anymore. Right. You see that? Okay? Don't front like when You Got Me Feelin Emotions came out, all of you niggas wasn't like, ah! Trying to freak the high notes and putting your left hand on your left ear like, you got me feeling high. Anyways, welcome to a seat at the table where you always have a seat to pull up and join in with your girl. Now, first of all, because I know a lot of you are going to be rolling your eyes like, oh, here come this bitch on a random day. Do she know when she wants this podcast to be? Listen, sometimes that's what friends are for. They just come into your life whenever they feel like it and, fuck shit up and then leave and then come back again and do it again. Listen, we're going to get this together, okay? I have been experimenting with different drop days, so I'm sorry that it's an inconvenience to any of you. But here we are again on this glorious Wednesday, and I'm so glad that you guys are listening. You can find us on all social media platforms, but especially on the Instagram, A Seat at the Table Pod, all one word. You can also find us on my dry ass Facebook page. Hasn't Facebook just become a place for the mothers and the aunties, or is it just me? Facebook has definitely become the place for mothers and aunties to just be able to check in every once in a while and make sure that the children aren't killing each other, right? Because outside of that, I don't really get on Facebook. My mom actually is the one who's always telling me whose goose is cooked on Facebook, okay? I don't get on there. That's why the A Seat at the Table page is dry boots, drier than a box of cornflakes, okay? You could also find us, though, on Twitter. Hello. Yes, Twitter. Hey, Twitter. Hey. And yeah, so we're there staying alive, shucking and jiving and just having a good old time. So there is so much to unpack this week, and I'm so glad that we have an opportunity to catch up. Hopefully you guys have had a splendid week so far, and if not, then guess what? It's almost the freaking weekend, so fuck it, right? And if you are anywhere on the East Coast or in the Northeast even, the weather has been somewhat cooperating, so shout out to Jesus for that. This week, just a little check-in. This week has been, I don't know, guys. This week has been super emo for me, but we're going to get into that in a minute. I don't know why, but I was definitely, let's just go ahead on and get into it, honey. I was triggered by this Kate Spade passing. I was very triggered by it. For those of you who have not heard, legendary designer Kate Spade has since passed. I believe it was yesterday morning that her housekeeper discovered her hanging on her doorknob with, ironically, a Kate Spade scarf. I know. I mean, listen, let me just say this to you. If you are anyone you know is suffering from any mental illness, whether it be depression or anxiety. I mean, we've talked in the past about knowing the difference between having the blues and having true on depression. And I'm not sure. I know oftentimes I've talked about my own struggles in terms of having anxiety and struggling with depression. And even as I say that to you, it is still taboo for me to say it, because oftentimes when you think of any mental health issues that you might have, I think oftentimes people think that there's a weakness involved in even admitting to the fact that there are some things that you may struggle with. And I'm here to tell you that if you are someone who needs alcohol or weed or food or sex or people to help you kind of get through moments because you are unable to deal rationally with any moments that you have outside of having one of those things there to help you kind of get past it, then you probably are struggling with your own mental issues. And there's no shame in it. There is a bunch of things that are available to us: talk space, therapy. Even if you don't feel comfortable in doing certain things, I implore you all to seek ye first the kingdom of God and then go on and get you some help. Because to be honest with you, there's nothing worse than living inside of a shell in which things just don't seem to be adding up. It's a very trapped feeling. So I was triggered, I think, not so much by the fact that she committed suicide, but I think oftentimes the way that people react towards suicide or towards issues of mental illness is often the thing that kind of triggers me. I grew up in a home where it is taboo to even kind of talk about that kind of stuff. Crazy is a term that is often thrown out there, or at least the way that I was thrown up. Crazy, the word was often used as a sword. So if you wanted to chop someone down, you say, oh my God, they're so crazy. You're crazy, as oftentimes a way of dismissing someone. And because I grew up with that value on that word, it was always not worth a lot to me to kind of throw that out there. Oh, you're crazy. Not realizing that somebody might be dealing with some real mental issues. And, if I can challenge you guys as listeners to do anything, I would say, just please be aware and be mindful when you are dealing with others. And even, it's really not so much the good times, but really when you see someone is struggling, just be mindful of how you are reacting towards their struggle, the words that you're using to either chop them down or to help build them up. I don't think that people understand that words are so weighty and they have so much power to them. And unfortunately, this woman did not feel like, this woman being Kate Spade, did not feel like all of the things that she was going through that she could really deal with where she was from a mental health perspective. She left a note, and in her note, she pleaded to her daughter to understand that, it wasn't her. It wasn't her fault. She has a 13-year-old daughter. Wasn't her fault. And, she should ask her dad. And it just sounds to me like it just is a tragic situation. A couple of months ago, if you guys recall, the CEO and owner of Golden Crust Caribbean food and restaurant, Lowell Hawthorne, I believe his name is Hawthorne. He also committed suicide at the Golden Crust headquarters in the Bronx. So, I think that people just love on one another. If you can find anyone to hug today, just go ahead and hug them. Tell someone that you care about them. Tell someone that you love them. And if you are the person who happens to be suffering through any mental illness, please seek the kind of help that's necessary. Oftentimes you might think that just talking to your friends or what have you is probably enough. I want to share some stats with you. And I know this is a heavy note for us to begin on, but I want to begin on this note because I know that so many of you, I'm not alone with talks of mental health and wanting to kind of get into this. We've all been on this mindful journey together. And part of the mindfulness journey is not only just being aware of your own actions and reactions, but also the way that we're choosing to or choosing not to handle others, and especially in light of the fact that you never truly know internally what anyone is going through. 2.2 million adults have had suicide plans in the past year alone. 1 million people have reported making an attempt for suicide within the past year. Suicide is the number 10 cause of death in the U.S. More men die by suicide, actually taking their lives 3 times more than women. And, if you're around anyone and you notice that they are speaking about being a burden to others, that they are sleeping too much or too little, that they seem to have really high moments of rage, or that they're talking about revenge a lot, that they have really deep mood swings, or that they suffer from anxiety, or that they have a familial history of suicide, or there's talk of hopelessness or them feeling trapped. Please, please, please do not hesitate to get that person some help. It may be a false alarm, but listen, prevention is better than cure is one of my best beliefs. And so love on someone today. If you or anyone you know is suffering and may feel like they want to attempt suicide, please do not hesitate to call the National Suicide Prevention Line. That is 1-800-273-TALK, 1-800-273-8255. Again, 1-800-273-TALK. You can also access information on prevention and therapy through suicidepreventionhotline.org. All right. Now that the heaviness is out of the way, how are you crumb suckers doing? I am telling you, it is only Wednesday, but it has already been a wang dang doodle of a time. First of all, have you guys listened to Kanye's new album? That's right, our favorite person to hate lately, Mr. Kanye Amari West. That's right, I said his full government name. Kanye dropped his new album titled Yay. Now, let me ask you guys a question, because quite frankly, everyone's dropping these albums that are 7 songs long. Is that the new length for an album nowadays? 7 songs? Because to me, that only qualifies as an EP. If I'm paying $9.99 on iTunes for something, you need to give me interlude. You need to give me an introduction. I want at least 14 bangers on there. Is that too much? The Yay album is a measly 23 minutes in total. That's it, 23 minutes. That's all you get. If you haven't listened to the album yet, there are several tracks on the album, and 7 actually. And Kanye talks about a varying list of subjects, including his own mental health,